Hey, this is Victor Antonio, and welcome to my series, Tales from the Sales Side. Now, these are personal stories about my selling experience over the years that I thought I'd share with you because these are stories that have impacted me greatly and have changed the way I think and sell. This first story, I'll just call it, What Is That? That's the title of the story. Now, let me back up by saying that one of the things we want to do as salespeople is establish credibility, establish trust. So years ago, a company calls me up and says, Victor, we have this one guy. We'll call him Larry. Now, Larry is an awesome salesperson. He's about 65, 66. He's up there in age, but here's the reality. Larry is outselling 10 of the younger salespeople. That's right. Old school is outselling 10 millennials. And so they asked Larry, said, Larry, how do you sell? What makes you successful? Larry says, he's a good old boy from the South here in Georgia. He says, well, I just get in there, talk to the customer, and make it happen. That's what he said. I just go in there, talk to the customer, and make it happen. And so they said, Victor, here's the problem. We can't train on that. We need to understand what his process is. The problem is, every time we ask Larry, what do we get? Just go in there, talk to the customer, and then close them. And so he said, Victor, here's what we want you to do. We're going to pay you to follow him around for 2 weeks. And what we want you to do is document what Larry does. And then let's put that in a manual form so we can now use his sales process to train our other salespeople. So for 2 weeks, I followed Larry around. Now, one of those moments that happened that I realized that this guy sells differently is we were up in Ellijay, Georgia, right? That's really backwoods here, right? And Larry, we walk into a central telephone office, Ellijay Telco, right? We walk in, and I remember he introduced me as his assistant. Now, I'm just an observer trying to learn what he's doing. And so I remember the supervisor of the central office greets us, very polite, says hi, offers us coffee, we have polite conversation. Then he says, would you like to see the central office? Larry's like, yeah, let's go in there and look at this thing, right? So sure enough, we walk in there, right? I'm following Larry. Larry's following the supervisor. And Larry looks at the first piece of equipment. He says, oh, I know what that is. That's a good piece of equipment right there. I worked with that ... back in the day, right? Walk some more through the facility. Says, oh, that right there, that's a 95 blah blah X5, whatever model it was. That right there does this. Supervisor's like, that's exactly what it does. And he kept doing this. As we walked around, he kept highlighting different pieces of equipment in the central office. And then we got to one piece of equipment in particular, and Larry looks at it and goes, now that right there, now that is a piece of shit. That's what he said. Excuse my language, but that's what he said. You go, that right there is a piece of shit. And immediately my jaw drops. I look over at the supervisor. You want to figure out, what's he going to say? What's his reaction going to be after that comment? Well, I remember looking over to the supervisor, and all he did was the following. He looked at Larry, dropped his head, and said something to the effect, yeah, that was a bad decision. That was a real bad decision. And at that very moment, you could feel that bonding take place. You can feel that connection. You can feel that engagement. Because what was the supervisor looking for? The supervisor was looking for somebody who understood his business, which Larry did, by demonstrating that he knew about all these pieces of equipment. But he's also looking for somebody who's credible, who's honest, who's authentic. And when Larry said, that right there is a piece of crap, again, what he was demonstrating was honesty. And what I figured out is that Larry did have a process. And one of the things that really allowed Larry to sell more effectively was his knowledge and authenticity. Knowledge and authenticity. Now, knowledge of the product, but also the customer's market, but he was authentic when he talked. And sometimes that's what customers want. They want you to understand their business. They want you to understand what they do, but they also want you to be authentic. And I've learned that over the years, that the best salespeople are knowledgeable and authentic, not rude, authentic. And I'm telling you, after that, we got lunch with the supervisor. It was like Larry and him were like the best buds ever. And that's, again, it really reinforced the fact that people are looking to connect. Your customers are looking for help. They need you to help them clarify, understand what they need to do to grow their business. Now, I'm not saying walk in there into a customer's office and goes, now that right there, that's a piece of shit. It's not what I'm saying, okay? Delete that. That's not what I'm saying. The point here is that sometimes we have to challenge our customer. We have to be honest with our customer. And if we see something that we disagree with, find a way to raise that. And you may be surprised that the customer goes, you know what, Victor, you understand my business. Let's talk. So again, you want to sell more? Be more authentic. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you're authentic and you know how. Take care.